I've got all the questions, and I'm hoping you guys have all the answers. And if you don't, I'll make one up. It'll be like campaigning, only the same. Is it time to do away with the closed Republican primary?
Yes.
Yep. The Republicans have a closed primary. Alaska pays for it. The Democrats have open primary. So we have to have two different ballots. Maybe what we should do is just take first and second and make them work together.
Or stop paying for it.
Or stop paying for it. That sounds good. What does the panel think of Joe Miller's FEC complaint against the Super PAC Alaskans Standing Together? John loves it. No, he doesn't.
No chance.
No. Freedom of speech, they can do it. It doesn't have a chance.
That would be thank you to the Supreme Court.
No, before
I'm
that.
sending you a message, Supreme Court, right now. For Bitney, if Sarah Palin and Joe Miller were both on fire, and you could only save one, and you had to, I'm gonna abbreviate the last part of this question, but which one would you put out?
That's assuming I didn't set them on fire, right?
Oh my. That is assuming that you weren't the one that caught them on fire. Yeah, it wasn't real upsetting to see Sarah Palin, you know, I mean, that is the gift of all of this, is that Sarah Palin's candidate didn't win. But it was a family feud. For Michael Carey, if candidates in this election wore hats, what would each one have on for the Senate race?
Boy, that's a great question. Lisa Murkowski dresses so elegantly, I think it would have to be something from Manhattan in the 50s. A very traditional Fifth Avenue chapeau. Joe Miller would wear a baseball cap that says, "I heart America." And,
or a cowboy hat.
And Scott McAdams, yeah, well, that's right. Scott McAdams has already proven he's wearing a fisherman's hat.
Yeah, definitely.
By the way, on this show, I want to swear in Norwegian before.
I would love that.
Except I'll have to learn it from you. I don't know how.
Oh, how would do I look Norwegian? I don't know how to swear in Norwegian. I can swear in other languages. Mr. Whitekeys, what is your most memorable picture of Spam?
This is a tough one.
It is. I know. See, I don't even know where to begin. Well, we do have a picture that was taken at the South Pole. A bunch of guys in big parkas, and one person in the middle is holding the can of Spam, and it was Ted Stevens. And that's, you know, it was our tax dollars at work, and I was just tickled pink to get that picture. No, I mean, Ted always wanted to be part of the party, and he certainly was.
with Spam. So, Michael Carey, Craig Medred, and Tony Hopfinger of Alaska Dispatch don't vote. They say it's a conflict of interest because they are journalists. What are your thoughts?
I know Craig has told me he doesn't vote. Tony's never told me he doesn't vote. So we'll assume for the...
Well, he said it on this show.
Oh, he did?
We have
okay.
it on tape.
All right. I was just going to assume that both of them had said
being journalistic and all.
Right. I don't know. I had an argument with Craig about this, that you're a citizen, you're a member. I wouldn't say it was an argument. A discussion. You're a member of the community. You know, you're entitled to be in favor of the banking system not collapsing because, you know, you have money in the bank. For purity's sake, some people will give up their right to participate. I wouldn't do it. I've registered as a Democrat. People know who I am. They can throw rocks at me if they want.
Isn't it more? It's more honest, I think, to just.
Well, I don't know. I mean, if you don't want to vote and that's the way you feel about it, you're perfectly entitled to it. But for myself, I wouldn't give up the privilege of voting or the right to vote on the basis that, you know, I wrote something in the paper. But it'd be interesting to talk to Bob Woodward and all the people in Washington and see how they are about that. I don't know. I doubt there's a national consensus on this.
John, I want to ask you this one. What office should Scott McAdams run for next? State Senate Bert Stedman, Governor, Congress versus Dotton Young, what?
Oh, I think he should stay statewide. I think that he's established himself statewide. People have got him. I think he did himself well. He's regarded well. I think he should maintain a position in statewide politics. There's the congressional races every 2 years. 4 years from now, I don't know that he would want to run against Mark Begich, but there's the governor's race. I mean, there's any number of races. I think to have he's young, and I think the Democrats need people. Really need some fresh faces to put out there in some statewide. Now you've had Ethan Berkowitz has lost 2 or 3 races, so for him to try to regenerate, I just don't see. It's tough to get Democrats to run statewide up here, and so to have someone now in his position, I hope he stays involved in statewide politics for the years to come here.
You want to add anything to that?
Well, I was outside 2 weeks ago, and I was in Arizona, and they have elections there too. I couldn't believe it, but they were having an election, and
that's pretty good.
And they vote in Arizona. I mean, they vote for constable, they vote for sheriff, they elect their attorney general, they vote for members of something called the Corporation Commission, they vote for the state mine inspector. You know, we need more offices that people can run for, because this would just open...
You are just still campaigning for the federal uterus inspector.
Well, you know, I absolutely...
And you know what, we should vote, and I'm voting for George Clooney right now.
Even the maidens of modesty are going to need to be inspected. I mean, it's something that's going to happen, you know?
It's evolving.
Yeah.
I really hope Joe Miller's not watching this, because I have a feeling he'd run against you. John Bitney, this question goes along with this. What is the lesson when the most liked candidate comes in last? Of course, the polls showed that Scott McAdams had the highest favorabilities. He was everybody's second choice except for the people that he was the first choice.
Well, that's a hard question because I don't, what makes people vote? The general rule of thumb is people vote with their heart, not with their head. I don't know what that means, but that's what they say. In this case, in Alaska, I've always said a United States Senate seat is critical up here. I guess, and I'll just put my cards on the table and why I supported Lisa Murkowski. It's for seniority. We don't have 12 members on the House side to pick up the slack if we decide to dump a senior senator. Those 2 positions are what we have as a small population state. So that's just what's important to me in terms of maintaining our ability to get things done. You can call her part of the establishment or whatever the case may be. I think she's a great person. I think she's doing a good job. And that's just how I felt about it. So I don't know how to answer your question. I mean, I like Scott McAdams. I thought he was a nice man. But
Joe Miller?
But there needs to be I have a lot of disagreements with Joe Miller. Michael made a very good point earlier, and I won't go on at length here, but the people that were behind him, there is a message that they believed in, and I think it really should be respected. We ridiculed Joe Miller a little bit for the gaffes that he made, but let's not blind ourselves. I've said before, don't underestimate Sarah Palin. And in this case here, don't underestimate the power of the message that he was behind. He wasn't the standard bearer, but what he was saying and what those people believed in is something I don't think that's going to go away. And so it's something to be paid attention to.
Right. I think they felt more strongly about those beliefs than they did about him, which is why they overlooked the gaffes. And they were willing to be like, yeah, this guy's a liar. I mean, he is. But
he said that in his own words.
Yeah, but exactly. I mean, admitted, written down. And so, but he is saying this that I believe in, and he's not that I don't believe in, so I'll still vote for him. And that's, right. Wow, that's scary. I don't want those people making any decisions about drinking water. But that being said, Mr. Whitekeys, you did an audience participation segment back in the day here called Brush with Greatness. What's the most memorable brush with greatness?
Holy smokes.
Not counting tonight.
Yeah, well, okay, well, the idea was, I mean, it was the more remote, the better. You couldn't just be that you bumped into somebody. I mean, I have a cousin in Seattle that lives next door to the guy that played the professor on Gilligan's Island. I mean, that was my cousin. But then there was a lady who had said, and this was always one of my favorites, she was a reporter at the Daily News, as a matter of fact, and her 7 or 8 or 9 times great-grandfather was the first person hung in the New World, in one of the colonies in Massachusetts, in Plymouth. And I ran into her day before yesterday at Home Depot in the parking lot, and she had gone to a family reunion, and somebody had done all of this research and found out that, in fact, it was like that guy's cousin. So she is not, after all this time, descended from the guy who was the first person hung in the New World, and she's crushed. I mean, this has been a major part of her life for a long time. And now what does it mean that, her 9th great-grandfather was just a second cousin of the guy? I mean, I
hope she doesn't do anything drastic.
Well, I hope not, but it's a big disappointment.
Makes me want to sing that old Johnny Taylor song, "Who's making love to your old lady while you're out making love?" I can't figure it out.
Dear Lord. This is the part where I would swear in Norwegian. No, I'm kidding. Mr. Whitekeys, can you still get a whiff of spam when you walk in this building?
Well, they tried to clean it up, but they didn't do enough, I can find it.
Maybe it's just you.
Well, spam is important in this state, and that's, again, another thing that we're the 2nd highest per capita consumers of spam in the nation. We eat more spam than anybody but Hawaii. It comes up here by the barge load. But if I ask any of you if you eat spam, you'll say, "No, I don't. It's always the other guy." Nobody
it's just
will
like
admit
people that vote for Don Young.
For Don Young, it's exactly. Don Young gets more votes than anybody else. And you ask anybody, and they say, "No, I don't vote for Don Young."
Everybody goes, "I don't know how the hell that guy got elected.
Right,
He's such an ass."
We know that 85% of the people are voting for Don Young, but they won't admit it.
They won't admit it. I guess it goes back to that old slogan, "I might be an ass, but I'm your ass," which is the one he should take on. Oh my gosh. So when is this going to be all decided? Just give me a date. We'll just run down the line. Where Joe Miller actually concedes or doesn't, or secedes, or whatever he's going to do. Like, I'm guessing November 27th.
The end of next week.
As a practical matter, it'll be over, as John suggests. I suspect, wrap it up, I get the message. I suspect Miller will complain beyond that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this could go on for months.
Let's hope.
We hope. Oh, absolutely. It's a gift from the comedy gods.
Yeah. Yeah, if only being funny could get you a septic system in rural Alaska. All right, thanks so much for being here. We'll be back next week with more Up North.